He's seized upon by Beardsley.
Hi there. A lovely good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on what time of the day you are viewing this content. This is Ralph on VAR, where football's biggest moment goes under review. On this channel, we do football trolling, football banter, pre-game and post-game analysis, and everything concerning football, as some people will choose to call it soccer. Yes, we delve into the Premier League, we talk about the Champions League, we talk about all the major leagues in Europe, the La Liga, the Serie A, the Bundesliga, and even whenever there is an international tournament such as the AFCON, which is happening now in Morocco, we delve into all those issues concerning football. So I know most of you will be asking the question, it's been a while you saw a content from this channel. Yes, it's been because of one or two time constraints or challenges on our part. That is why we haven't been able to bring back-to-back content for you. But I promise you, going forward, we are going to try our very best to be bringing you content in relation to soccer. So this is Ralph on VAR, where football's biggest moment goes under review. The last time we posted, it's been over a month, and we are going to do our very best to bring you content related to soccer, as I know most of you love it. So just as you already know, turn on your post notifications so that whenever a content is dropped, you become privileged to be the first to see it. If you want to send money back home to family, friends, and then relatives if you are in abroad, I'm going to recommend Lemfi to you. Use Lemfi, where you are guaranteed with no hidden charges behind it, because you send money and then whoever you are sending to, the beneficiary receives it instantly. Just use my promo code RAPHSJ for you, RAPH, S for Santa, because we are in the Christmas season, J for Jesus, 4 as in the number 4, and then U for umbrella, RAPHSJ for you. And you are guaranteed, and whenever you send $100 and above, you are guaranteed a $20 cashback on your first transfer using the promo code RAPHSJ for you. So use Lemfi to send money back home. All right, so it's been a week of mixed results, mixed reactions across Europe, because it's the Christmas season. Most of the leagues are on break. Like the Spanish La Liga is on break. The Bundesliga in Germany is also on break. I believe the French Ligue 1 is also on break. So it's only in England, the Premier League, and then the Championship, as well as the Serie A in Italy, that is they haven't gone on break. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why the Premier League is the most watched. Some it's quite debatable, because some always say it's not the best, but it's just the most watched. So that debate is that issue is up for debate. So whilst other players are resting, fans love football. The soccer fans, they don't mind watching football 24/7 or each and every day. So when other leagues such as La Liga and then the Bundesliga and co are on break, you have the Premier League, which is still running. And surprisingly for you, they are playing on Boxing Day, they are playing on Christmas Eve, and then all that. So that's what makes the Premier League so interesting to watch. Whilst others are on break during the Christmas period, you still have players in the Premier League battling it out in the cold weather right there in England. So in this week, we have some interesting games coming our way, and we are going to delve into some of these games, how the games are going to pan out. We will look at some of the pre-game analysis some of the coaches have delved into. And the first game in the Premier League is going to be the Manchester United versus Newcastle game. So this game is going to be on Friday at 4 p.m. Yes, so this game is going to be at 4 p.m. on Friday at Old Trafford, where Manchester United will be facing Newcastle at home. And when you look at the records of both teams head to head in the past few games, I think in the past 5 games that both teams have played, Newcastle have been able to edge it over Manchester United. And this is a situation whereby Manchester United are losing some important players. They have some players going on international duty. They have Mazraoui, they have Brian Mbeumo, they also have one other player, Ahmed Diallo, and these players are very influential players in the Manchester United setup. So I think that is going to be a very big blow for Manchester United. In the last game that they played, you could see the impact of these players not being in the team. It had a negative impact on them, and this is a situation whereby they are also missing their captain, the inspirational Bruno Fernandes. He picked up a knock in the last game, so he will not be able to play against against Newcastle United on Friday. So I think it's going to be a very difficult game for Manchester United, looking at how the results have been coming in the past few weeks. And even though Newcastle United also have not so good a season so far this season, and they have had some injuries here and there, the likes of Livramento, even their number one shot stopper Nick Pope is doubtful for this game. You don't know how this game is going to go. Newcastle, when you look at their form, their last game they played against Chelsea, they started very well in the first half. They were able to score 2 goals, but in the second half they went to bed and Chelsea took over the game. So they are a team that it's looking like they play in one half and then they go to bed in the other half. So it's going to be a cagey encounter between the two sides. But when you look at how Ruben Amorim has been shaping out his team lately, with his back three system, which I personally, even though I'm not a technical person, I personally think that he can do much better by reshaping his system, because the caliber of players he has in his team are not giving him what he needs as a manager. So if he could probably shape up his team, tweak his tactics, maybe play a 4-back system, I think it's going to help him. So it's going to be a difficult encounter. And looking at Manchester United losing 4 influential players who are not going to play in this game, but mind you, they have Lisandro Martinez, who has been a pillar in their defense in the past, but due to injury he has been sidelined. But I think in the last game that they played, he was able to come in, and he is going to be very influential for them in the heart of defense at Manchester. But it's going to be a difficult game. And Newcastle also, they do very well at home, but whenever they are playing away from home, that is where the problem is. So away from home is very difficult for them. Personally, I'm going to call for a draw in this game, because Newcastle don't perform very well when they are playing away from home. Manchester United are losing some influential players, so it's going to be a ding-dong affair between the two sides, and I'm going to call for a draw in that game. Okay, let's quickly delve into the next game. We are not going to touch on all the games, but we only look at some of the interesting games and then the difficult encounters that are going to happen in the Premier League. Okay, there is also the Nottingham Forest playing Manchester City. So Manchester City I think they have 2 players. They have lost 2 players to the international duty, not international break. So they've lost 2 players to international duty. That is Mazraoui and then Atnori. Yes, so they are in Morocco playing the AFCON, and they are not going to play in this game. But when you look at Man City, they have a squad that is in depth. So even missing these 2 players is not going to be something that's going to affect them so much. On the other hand, Nottingham Forest, I think they have lost Willy Boley and one other player to the Ivorian side for the AFCON. And they have Ola Aina, who, because of injury, he didn't go to the AFCON. He's still in England, so he cannot play this game. But they do have a good side, yes. And one thing I like about Nottingham Forest is their current manager, yes. So Sean Dyche, they call him the Ginger Mourinho. He's a pragmatic coach. He does the simple things and then tries to end the results. That is all he's about. He doesn't really care how he's going to end the results. All he cares about is getting the results at the end of the day. So he's a defensive manager, as some people would choose to call it, but I like him because of his pragmatism. And facing Manchester City, who are chasing the league leaders, Arsenal, I think he's going to give Manchester City, Pep Guardiola and his men, a run for their money in this game. But City might edge it over them simply because they are going to remember, they are going to play, it's going to be an early kickoff. So they are going to Manchester City they are going to play on Saturday in the early kickoff before Arsenal plays. So they wouldn't want a situation whereby they lose the game and then Arsenal now have the ability to extend the league to 5 points, because currently it's just 2 points separating the first and then the second spot. That is Arsenal and then Manchester City. So City will want to go into this game all guns blazing, where they are going to win this game and then win comfortably, get all the 3 points, at least go on top of the Premier League, and then hope that Arsenal can either draw or lose the game against Brighton. Because when you look at the league table, Manchester City, in terms of goal difference, I think they have more goals than that of Arsenal. So Pep Guardiola, after losing the league title to Liverpool last season, will want to take all the chances that is available to him now. Yes, he wants to take all the chances available to him now. Try to win this game against Nottingham Forest. Though I think Nottingham Forest is going to be a very tough customer for Manchester City, because, as I said, Sean Dyche is going to be pragmatic. He's going to try everything possible, at least to get a draw, because he's going to set up his defense in a way that's going to be very difficult for Manchester City to break. So I'm going to go for a Manchester City win, simply because Pep Guardiola is going to try to get a win and then go on top of the league table, hoping that Arsenal either draw or they lose points. Okay, and then the next game is going to be the Arsenal versus Brighton game. So I think when I checked the results in the past in last year in the Premier League, I stand to be corrected, but I think Arsenal were not able to beat Brighton. Either both games ended in a draw or Brighton were. I think both games ended in a draw at the Emirates and also at the Amex Stadium for Brighton. So Arsenal were unable to beat Brighton last season. So the points were shared between the two teams last season, and this season Arsenal they are title contenders, as some people would choose to say it. Yes, obviously, when you look at the league table, you cannot write them off. They are title contenders, and they will want to go into this game hoping that they just win, because assuming Manchester wins their game in the early kickoff, Arsenal have no other chance than to win this game against Brighton and Hove Albion. So Arsenal, I think they haven't lost any player to the ongoing AFCON. Brighton have lost Carlos Baleba to one of the countries in the AFCON. So they have a man missing in there. And in terms of injury, Arsenal have one or two injuries, but because of the squad in depth that they do have, it's not much a problem. They have lost Gabriel, but they have someone replacing him in the heart of midfield. At a point, Saliba also was injured, but they were able to get the men to fill in for him. They have lost in the last, I think, was it the last game or the last two games, they lost Ben White to injury again. But when you look at the pregame conference that Arteta did, he did mention that someone like Kai Havertz is returning from injury, so it's likely, maybe not in this game, but maybe in the subsequent games, Kai Havertz is going to be back, and that's going to be a good addition for Arsenal, because up front is going to be very influential for them. Because when you look at the striker that they signed this season, I don't think he's really getting in the goals, because when you look at the team all round, yes, there are goals coming from the wingers, there are goals coming in from the midfielders. So they are taking a bit of pressure from Victor Gyökeres. Yes, but I don't think he's giving the firepower that they bought him for. Looking at his numbers in Portugal, that was why they went in for him. But he's not really getting in. He's not even really getting in the banging in the goals, even though he was able to score the only goal in their last game when they played against Everton. So it's also going to be a difficult game, but I see us now winning this game. Brighton are always a boogie side. They are going to miss Danny Welbeck in this game, who is also someone that troubles a lot of the big teams, but he's going to be absent for this game due to an injury he sustained in the previous game. So Arsenal, yes, and also they do have Gabriel Jesus returning from injury. In the midweek, he was able to play. I think 90 minutes of the game against one of the I've forgotten the team, one of the teams in the Premier League, that they were able to the game ended in a draw, and they won that. Yeah, that was Crystal Palace, and they won when the game went into penalty. So Arsenal, and another thing that's going to probably affect us now is the game they played in midweek. There might be a bit of fatigue because the game went to 90 minutes, and then it went into penalties. And whenever there is penalties, personally, I think that it puts a bit of pressure psychologically. It affects the players, even though they did win the penalty shootout, but they weren't able to have enough rest entering into this game, whereas Brighton have had enough rest because they were not involved in anything during midweek. They had enough time to rest and then train going into this game. So I would think that based on the Arsenal's quality in depth, they are going to win this game. I cannot call for a scoreline, but I think Arsenal is going to win. But look, it's football banter, and I'm praying that Arsenal loses this game. All right, so we also have Liverpool playing against Wolves, which Wolves are languishing down there at the bottom of the table. Is it with a point or two? And I don't see any way, even though Liverpool haven't been so good this season, I don't see any way Wolves are going to stop Liverpool at Anfield. So it's going to be a straight win for Liverpool. I think someone like Ekitike might get maybe a brace or even a hat-trick in this game. Mohamed Salah is out for AFCON, and they do have players in there that can fill in for him. They have been chasing Antoine Semenyo, who I think would have been the perfect replacement for Mohamed Salah, because he has the pace, he has the power, ability to shoot, to drive balls forward. But unfortunately, it seems Semenyo is heading to the blue side of Manchester. So we see how that 1-2 is going to go. There is also another game that we touch on, is the Chelsea versus Aston Villa game. So yes, Chelsea are playing at home at a bridge to Aston Villa. So Aston Villa in their last 10 games haven't lost even a single game. They have won all 10 games. And Chelsea in their last 10 games, I think they have won about 4, drawn about 3, and lost the remaining games. So it's been shaky for Chelsea, but 100% record for Aston Villa, with the likes of Morgan Rogers in there for them. And in this pre-game conference, Enzo Maresca was asked if he was going to he will be happy to switch Cole Palmer with Morgan Rogers, and he said no, he likes Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer is doing his job as a Chelsea player. There's no need for that. He was also asked about Antoine Semenyo, and he said no, nothing about Antoine Semenyo. His team is okay. He has the players that he needs, so no need to discuss Antoine Semenyo. The concentration now is about how to beat Aston Villa, or how to get the points off Aston Villa. So Aston Villa are being led by Unai Emery, who is also a very good coach, especially when it comes to Europe. In the Europa League, I think no one has won much more Europa Leagues than him, about 4 or so Europa Leagues, and they are doing very good. And it's evidence when you look at the league table. They are third on the spot. Even if Chelsea are able to win this game against Aston Villa, they cannot go above Aston Villa, because Aston Villa are leading Chelsea by about 5 or 6 points. So Chelsea will need a couple of runs or wins to be able to, even though they are in the top 4, to be able to overtake Aston Villa. So Aston Villa, as I said, they are in good form. Morgan Rogers is doing his thing, and Chelsea too, with a return of Cole Palmer. He has scored 1 goal so far since his return, and I think it's going to take time. Enzo Maresca did mention in the pre-game conference that yes, now Cole Palmer is ready to play 90 minutes of soccer. So whenever he's needed, yes, he can play the 90 minutes. And with players like Reece James, who have now been getting in the minutes in the tank, he's able to play 90 minutes. Looking at his past injury records now, I think it's a very good thing for him when you pair him with Caicedo in the middle. And one thing about Chelsea is whenever they are facing a team based on their record, Aston Villa, for one, currently they have won their past 10 games, and then people are saying, oh, okay, so it's going to be an easy win for Aston Villa. What I've realized about Chelsea is when they are facing a team that are playing woefully, that have been losing to almost everyone, Chelsea goes in there, and then that team beats them. They lose to that team. Okay, but when you have a team that's like looking at Aston Villa's record where they have won their past 10 games, I believe Chelsea is going to, not just because I'm a Chelsea fan, but I believe Chelsea is going to go in this game with a mindset of stopping Aston Villa with that record of winning all their 10 games. Who born dog? Why you are coming to Stamford Bridge to win, to make it 11 wins in a row? It's never going to happen. And in this game, the manager Enzo Maresca is going to be on the sideline because I think he got a yellow card. He got a card in the last game against Newcastle, so he's not going to be in the dugout, but rather he's going to be watching from the stands. And I believe that's a blessing in disguise, because whenever he's watching from the stands, he gets a 360 view of the pitch, and he knows once he's communicating with Willie Caballero, who is his assistant down there, he can tell him what to do. Tell this player to move here, tell this player to move there. So I believe Chelsea is going to win this game, but it's going to be a very close call. It's going to be a very close scoreline, like a 2-1 or a 1-0 win for Chelsea. Some of the players that have improved in Chelsea so far this season, when you look at the likes of Robert Sanchez, who I didn't like personally in the past, but he has been able to prove me wrong looking at his saves, and even in the last game he was able to give an assist. I believe Chelsea has what it takes to win this game once they are able to get the right defensive pairing in the person of Wesley Fofana, and then Chaloba in the heart of the defense, and then you have Malo Gusto, and then Mark Cucurella in the fullback position, where Malo Gusto will be inventing. So you in the midfield, it frees up someone like Reece James, who is able to rotate around the middle of the pack. And up front is on the right side is where Chelsea is having a bit of problem, because Garnacho is not putting in the numbers. He's not even able to take on defenders so much as I thought maybe he would have done. And his final delivery is also a major problem. It's always valuing the ball, or the ball not even being on target. So Chelsea, with the return of Estaval too, and then Liam Delap, who are also ready to play in this game, I think that they have what it takes to stop Aston Villa with their last 10 games record, where they have been able to win all. And then I'll finally touch on the Crystal Palace versus Tottenham Hotspur game. So Tottenham Hotspur has been playing very bad this season. I thought that with the inclusion of Mohamed Kudus and then the likes of Kolo Muani and co, they would have been able to push for the top four, but that hasn't been the case. Their coach Thomas Frank also was doing a very good job at Brentford, but it seems, sometimes when you move into some teams, the environment, the aura around the team, as a coach might, or even as a player, might be too big for you. That's why some players and then some managers and then some players move into some teams, and then they don't survive, or they can't make it, even though they were doing very well in their previous team. So I think the aura, yes, if I should put it that way, around Tottenham Hotspur is too big for the coach, and that's why he's unable to manage the team to get the needed result. They do have Mohamed Kudus, they have Kolo Muani, they did sign Xavi Simons and co, but still it's been very difficult for them this season. They are always losing games, and playing against Crystal Palace, which is going to be a London derby, I would have tipped Crystal Palace to win this game, but one thing to consider is fatigue setting in for Crystal Palace, because they did play on Thursday, and they are going to be very tired after playing 90 minutes against Arsenal and going into penalties. As I said earlier on, there's going to be that fatigue coming in, because Tottenham Hotspur have been able to get enough rest going into this game. But Oliver Glasner, even though there was an injury in that game where I think it was Michael Richards or so, that got injured in the game. So he's not going to be available for Crystal Palace in the heart of defense. But they still do have some good defenders in the McGahey who can cover up for him, who can, and also Lacroix and so on and so forth. So it's a London derby too. So derbies are always difficult games, and because Crystal Palace haven't had, if they had not played the game against Arsenal in midweek, I would have said it's going to be a straight. I would have called for a straight win for Crystal Palace against Tottenham Hotspur, but because of fatigue, I think that maybe Tottenham Hotspur will be able to at least get a draw in that game. So I'm going to go for a 2-2, a 2-2 draw in the game between Crystal Palace and then Tottenham Hotspur. Sunderland are playing at home against Leeds United. So these two teams returned from the Championship last season, and Sunderland are one of the teams that returned that are doing very good. So I'm just going to give it to Sunderland to win against Leeds United. There's also Newcastle United and West Ham United playing against Fulham, and West Ham haven't been performing so well. Fulham the same, and this is a London derby, so I'll go for a straight draw. Burnley are playing at home to Everton. David Moyes lost his last game against Arsenal, so I think this time around he wants to pick up a win, even though he has lost some of his influential players to the AFCON, the likes of Ndaye and then Idrissa Gana Gueye and co. So it's going to be difficult for him, but I think he should be able to win that game. And then there is Brentford playing against AFC Bournemouth. Bournemouth has been playing draws for fun. Yes, and they do have Antoine Semenyo, who is a hot cake now by most of the biggest Premier League teams in this season. So I think that game too, you should expect goals in that game, maybe 3 or 4 goals in that game. So that's going to be the wrap for us today on Ralph on VAR, where football's biggest moment goes under review. Thank you for watching. All I want you to do is to like and then subscribe, and then put this channel on post notifications so that whenever a content drops, you become privileged to be the first to see it. Don't worry. In the past months, we haven't been able to give you the podcast consistently, but going forward, we'll try. Because of time constraints, we weren't able to do that, but we'll try our possible best to be bringing you content on here, because we know you enjoy it. We know you and I love soccer, and that is what we live for. That is what we breathe. I'm always thinking about soccer, even whatever I'm doing. So thank you for watching. Just spread the news. Ralph on VAR is back, and put us on post notification. Share to your family and friends. Thank you for watching.